What's going on, guys? Welcome back to United View. Oh, wasn't that good? Wasn't that good? Oh, dear. It's the Manchester United press conference reaction, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's press conference reaction. There is a game going on. I think sometimes with everything that's been going on, I know I've said this a couple of times this week, but with everything that's been going on, you kind of do forget that there is a game tomorrow. And the time has turned to focus on the game tomorrow against Tottenham. It's the evening kickoff. It's the Saturday night football, 5:30 kickoff at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. And a lot of people, myself included, were curious, morbidly curious probably, to see what the reaction would be from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer today, what the reaction from the media and the journalists would be today, what kind of questions Ole Gunnar Solskjaer would be asked in the press conference today. And I'll be honest with you, I've covered quite a few of these press conferences this season here on United View. I've covered quite a few of the press conference reactions here on the channel this season, and it was bad. It was just bad, and it wasn't bad in the sense like, oh, the journalist just peppered him with questions. The journalist asked him these really tough questions and he didn't know what to say. It was bad all round. It was just bad all round. The answers were bad. The questions were bad. It was just, that was a press conference that reflected the performance last weekend. That was a 5-0 at home Liverpool press conference, if you could put that into a press conference. And I don't know if it's the genius or just how bad it is, but they almost turned it into a press conference like nothing happened. Like absolutely nothing happened last weekend. Like that result wasn't Liverpool at home. That was whoever it may be. That was like playing someone. That's like when we lost to Leicester, or like when we lost to Aston Villa. It was just, oh, well, we move on. We've tried hard this week. We're trying to fix it on the training pitch. We focus. I prepared the team. It was like Monday and Tuesday never happened. And that's what was crazy about it. That's what just blew my mind about it, is that Monday, Tuesday, those stories which were out there, not all of them are true. I'm with you. Not all of them are true, but some of them definitely were. Some of them absolutely 100% were true, or at least had a little bit of truth to them. And it was like it never happened. The first rule about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer possibly losing his job, don't talk about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer losing his job. And it was a bizarre press conference, a really bizarre press conference. Be sure to smash a like on the video. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. Super chat from Austin Baker says, can't believe he said the iPads are charged and ready for Spurs this weekend. You know how to get me, Austin. I'm going to remain calm and not talk about the iPads today. I'm not going to talk about the iPads today. Tomorrow, that might be something completely different, but I appreciate the contribution. Let me know where you're watching from, as always. We've got a real great global community here on United View, so let me know where you're watching this press conference reaction from. Obviously, we are going to get into all of the quotes. I've got all of the quotes in front of me. A couple of just top line things. Yes, Ollie did criticise the press, specifically more for the Paul Pogba stuff. And we will get into the quotes about that. Shout out to Flex, by the way, because he called it. I'm going to give him a call later and say, can you tell me the lottery numbers or something like that as well? Because he called it. He absolutely called it about the Paul Pogba story, right? When we did the stream, when was that? A couple of days ago? God, everything's just been a blur this week. When we did the stream a couple of days ago, and we were talking about the Paul Pogba coming out, saying big lies to make headlines, and saying it was 100% fake news, referring to that Sun story, talking about how he'd snubbed Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and he'd shelved the contract talks. Flex definitely said, and I agreed with him, that was a response by Paul Pogba. That was not PR from the club. That was Paul Pogba himself going, no, that's a lie. I'm not going to entertain that. I'm not just going to sit here and stand by while you say these things that aren't true about me. I'm going to come out and defend myself. And Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, he backed that up. He said in the press conference that Paul came up to me and told me what he'd put on social media. So let it be known that people were saying like, oh, Manchester United, that was a PR thing. No, Paul Pogba did that himself. The Manchester United PR didn't have a clue what's going on. And it was a strange press conference because there was no mention of Antonio Conte. There was no mention of other managers. There was a brief mention about Ole clinging on to his job. But the journalist just said, well, there's a lot of pressure surrounding you. There's a lot of pressure going on at the moment. There's a lot of pressure right now. And how are you dealing with that pressure? It felt like another press conference. You would never know, apart from the fact they referenced Liverpool by name, but honestly, you would never know that we got absolutely slapped 5-0 at home by our arch rivals if you watch that press conference. You'd never know. Honestly, it was such a weak press conference by everyone involved. everyone involved, not just Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, the journalist as well. Obviously, there has to be, and I don't know this to be accurate. I don't. This is just the way I'm looking at this. But it definitely felt like some of the journalists were told before the press conference, look, you mentioned Antonio Conte, you ain't coming back. You reference, Ten Hag, Zidane, other managers, you're not coming back. If you talk about Ed Woodward and the Glazers holding talks, then you're not coming back. I mean, Sir Alex was famous for it, right? There are the videos that are out there of Sir Alex Ferguson confronting journalists before games, being like, you're not allowed here, you're banned, get out. Ultimately, what makes headlines right now? Manchester United makes headlines. A lot of people are talking about Manchester United because we're not doing very well at the moment, right? So those journalists know where their bread is buttered. They want to get on the bad side of Manchester United. Plus, of all the leaks that have been coming out, reportedly, whether or not they're accurate or not, but with all everything that's been coming out, you really think they want to get a ban from Manchester United right now? Of course they don't. They're going to play ball. That's what journalism is. You have to play ball a little bit. So they couldn't say some stuff that they would want to say. And it was just, like I said, it was just a strange press conference, a really strange press conference. And I mean, we'll get into the quotes, but it was just, there was nothing of substance. Like the Liverpool game performance was any other outing. We move on, we go again. I joked with DJ the other day, where I did the late night view of him, and I did like the whole Ole Gunnar Solskjaer reaction of, we've worked hard on the pitch, we've had a good week in training, so-and-so's back, we move again, we go again. It's about passion and desire, it's about fine margins, it's about legs. Now, we didn't say fine margins, and he didn't say legs or passion and desire, but he might as well have. He might as well have. It was one of those press conferences. And like I said, it was bizarre, just absolutely bizarre. Muhammad Ali says the PR from the club are trying to change the narrative that they suck and only trying to shift the focus on players like Pogba. Fake news. I think there's some truth in that, Muhammad. I do. I think, like we spoke about this the other day, that it kind of felt like they singled out that Paul Pogba story and tried to almost imply that that's the rule of thumb. For everything you've heard this week, just like that Paul Pogba story, which is false, just like that Pogba story, everything's false. Everything's false, everything's fake, because that Paul Pogba story is false and fake. So everything else must be right, and it doesn't work like that. Life doesn't work like that. The truth does not work like that. Yes, there are false stories, but there are absolutely some true ones as well. Make no mistake about it. But they couldn't ask about that. They couldn't, and it was just... Like I said, it was baffling. Some of the analogies that we used, baffling as well. We started off with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer just being simply asked, "How are you, Ole?" And Solskjaer, like nothing had happened. And again, I'm not going to take this completely out of context because it was joking, and I think he's kind of referring to all the pressure that was surrounding him this week. But he just goes, "Good. Why shouldn't I be? I'm talking to you lot," referring to the media. So he was asked, "How are you?" "Yeah, I'm fine." Now, obviously, what's he going to say? He's not going to come out and be like, "I'm terrible. All you people are talking about me. I think I'm going to lose my job." He's not going to do that, is he? Of course, he's not going to do that. But even that reaction, like I think a lot of people would wanted to see something else about that. Now, the first question he was asked, they said about, it was your darkest day. You said it was your darkest day last weekend against Liverpool with that 5-0 result. Were the days following and with the pressure personally and stuff on the training pitch trying to figure things out and fix things this week, was this your toughest week? And this is what he had to say, quote, "It's been a difficult week, of course. We've had to deal with the result and the performance against Liverpool, which we know wasn't good enough, and that's something that footballers have to deal with. That's why we're in this game." You could pick that answer and drop that into any pre-match press conference he's ever done. Ever. That is the most generic, the most generic answer you could get. We've had a difficult week, of course. We've had to deal with the result and the performance, obviously take out the team, which wasn't good enough, and that's something that footballers have to deal with. That's why we're in the game. I mean, honestly, it's generic. He also said, quote, "You have to look forward to the next game, make sure you're ready, and when you get to that next game, sort it out and challenge the problems. We've had a good week on the training field." Again, it's just, and to be honest, I don't really know what I expected. And that's fair as well. I don't think I knew what to expect coming into this press conference, but I certainly didn't expect to see nothing. I mean, really, nothing. There wasn't any fight. There wasn't any bite. And the journalists either. It was just nothing. It was really just absolute nothing. Now, he was then asked, are you going into the game in the right frame of mind? Again, what a soft question that is. Are you going into the game in the right frame of mind after this week? Come on. Come on. I've seen more compelling answers on Football Manager, and that's just come out. Do me a favour. I mean, he says, quote, we definitely need a reaction, and it's my job as well to put the players in the right frame of mind. I'm responsible for the reaction, the result, and the performance. So once again, and this is what Solskjaer kind of does, there's definitely a quote in here that I thought was such a self-own, and we'll get to that. So he's basically saying, look, I'm responsible for everything that happened last weekend. Well, I think that doesn't paint you in a good light either. He also said, we've worked on the pitch, worked on everything that needs to be sorted for a footballer. It's not just frame of mind, it's the approach strategy, the game plan, tactics technically. Now, the moment he said tactics, I thought, here we go. Because what tactics? What tactics? When you're talking about its frame of mind, approach strategy, game plan, tactics technically, what? Like, what tactics are you referring to? Then once again, repeated the same Football Manager answer, quote, we've had a good week, and I feel the boys are ready to give the best, as they always do. The performance, nothing went to plan. Obviously referring to against Liverpool, and that was nowhere near our best. Well, no shit, it wasn't nowhere near your best, because if that was your best, then why would you still be here? I mean, the concerning thing is that arguably that was Solskjaer's best, right? That was what Solskjaer thought was the best game plan against Liverpool. You know, so again, not really a compelling question, certainly not a compelling answer, just nothing of substance, really nothing of substance. Bland. I feel like I'm watching, you know, like on Kitchen Nightmares with Gordon Ramsay, where he has a bit of lasagna and he goes, oh, it's ice cold. It's just bland. It's just bland. Send it back. I've had a little chew of that press conference and I went, oh, send it back. And now I want to go into the kitchen and start having a look around, seeing mold and dirt everywhere and saying, shut it down. You know, that's what it felt like. It really did. It felt like a bad episode of Kitchen Nightmares. But the nightmare's going to happen. The nightmare already happened and it might happen tomorrow. I don't know. We'll move on to the next one. I'm trying my best to remain my composure today, guys, because it's still like, you know, in the afternoon. It's the weekend. You want to have like a positive reaction. But, oh, my goodness. So the next question he was asked, Sir Alex Ferguson survived a similar position and went on to success. Did you speak to Sir Alex this week? Because, of course, he visited Carrington. And can you be successful? And this is what he said. Yes, on both counts, if that's short and sweet. Joking apart, I don't really know that was a joke, but joking apart, we had a commercial day. Sir Alex came in for some commercial stuff. We spoke for a brief moment because he was in there with Cristiano. I've been through some this is the bit that I was just like baffled by, really baffled by. So before I get into that quote, the thing was talking about Sir Alex. So Sir Alex came in this week, and this is what's crazy about the whole Sir Alex stuff, so Sir Alex came in with Martin Edwards on Monday, and people started speculating, right? They went, is he talking to the squad? Has Ollie called him in? Can you give me some advice? I'm hanging on by a thread here. Is Sir Alex and Martin Edwards, are they trying to rile up the players? What are they trying to do? So no one really knew. No one really knew what was going on. It then came out that Sir Alex, I can't remember who said it, might have been Simon Stone. And I don't mean to throw him under the bus if it wasn't him, but the story was that Sir Alex came in. He just had a suit fitted. He just had a suit fitted, and he was just there to get a new suit because Carrington's a very good tailor to get a new suit. He came in to have a new suit, and he definitely didn't talk to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Didn't even see him. And then Ole Gunnar Solskjaer comes out today and goes, "Yeah, I spoke to Sir Alex, not for very long, but yeah, I spoke to him. He was there for a commercial date." What is going on? Who knows what's fact or fiction right now? It's crazy. So he did say he spoke to Sir Alex, and he did say, like, he backed himself to say that, like Sir Alex, I mean, I guess he indirectly compared himself to Sir Alex, which you walk in a fine line there, a really fine line. Compared himself to Sir Alex, said, yeah, like, he had struggles at the start, but like him, I can go on to win things as well. Debatable. Definitely debatable. But I've mentioned this before. I don't get me wrong. Like, I grew up during the Sir Alex Ferguson era, and as a kid, I find myself, and I'm you know, for my generations of fans, we're so fortunate. We were so fortunate to grow up with Sir Alex Ferguson as the manager. Every single season, challenging for the title, if not winning it, winning Champions Leagues, winning FA Cups, League Cups, whatever it may be. We're so fortunate, and we do want it to go back to Sir Alex Ferguson era. But I think it's almost too easy to compare situations to Sir Alex, and I think we need to stop doing it. I really do. I don't think we can keep comparing, like, Sir Alex Ferguson had this amount of time and the other manager should get that. Sir Alex Ferguson had 5 years and he didn't win anything, but that was in the 1980s. And it wasn't the Manchester United that is the Manchester United now. Sir Alex Ferguson took over a sleeping giant, yes, but he had won things with Aberdeen as well, significant things with Aberdeen too. So there was a kind of a general feeling of, wow, he has won stuff, so maybe he deserves the time to get it right. And also as well, he wasn't coming into a side, we didn't have a side that had the best players in the world. Some of them, Cristiano Ronaldo in. They're different. It's apples to oranges, in my opinion. And sometimes it's too easy. It's just too easy to say that about comparing it to the Sir Alex era and all that kind of stuff. It is. It's too easy. It's so too easy. So we spoke about Sir Alex. Let's have a look in the free seats. I think KG's in. There's KG the community said, not necessarily don't need to be a mod. Free seats crew, there he is. Do you know what it is? KG actually spoke to me on the phone this earlier today, and he was like, I'm going to be in the free seats. I'm going to be there. And now I kind of imagine sort of if this were a legitimate show, KG in the audience just there, I would be so distracted by seeing him in my line of vision. I'd just be waiting. I'd be waiting for him to do something reckless. Like he says, he's probably too reckless to be a mod in this chat. Probably. I'd love to see it. He'd be timing out people like nobody's business. He'd love it. Absolute love it. But yes, moving back on. So after he was asked about the whole Sir Alex stuff, this is the one where I thought, this is such a cell phone. He said, quote, I've been through some very bad moments as a player here, and when I've been a manager, I've dealt with these setbacks. There have been 2 or 3 crises, at least, since I became manager here. And one thing I can say is, I'll always give it a good shot and fight back. First of all, if you're admitting while you're here, if you're admitting that whilst I've been the manager at Manchester United, there have been 2 or 3 crises, that would imply that maybe you're not doing the job the best way you could. There shouldn't be any crisis. I get sometimes crises are inevitable. But if you've said, well, the time I've been here, the 2 or 3 years I've been here, there have been 2 or 3 crises. That isn't good. That isn't good. Imagine you're like, I don't know, you're a fireman or whatever. And go, well, the time I have been here, 2 or 3 houses have burnt down. You go, aren't you a fireman? That would be a concern, right? That doesn't make any sense. By the time I've been here, yeah, things have gone quite bad a few times, but I always try my best. I always give it a good shot and fight back. And don't get me wrong, I appreciate him saying I give it a good shot, but at this point, at this stage of the game, with the players you've got, it's just I'll give it a good shot isn't good enough. And don't get me wrong, I don't think anyone's ever doubted Ole Gunnar Solskjaer isn't trying his best. No one is accusing Ole Gunnar Solskjaer of phoning it in. Nobody's saying, I tell you what, Ole, against Liverpool, you didn't give it the best shot you could have. That's the concerning thing, is that you are. You are trying your best. You are trying to put out what you think is the best team to win, or the best tactical performance, or the best way to set up to win things. You are giving it your best shot. Nobody's denying that. The issue is that there are levels to this, and a lot of people are saying, whilst you are trying your best, it's just maybe not good enough, And I expect you to try and fight back and give it a good shot, but is that good enough at this point? It's like a boxing fight, and I'm reluctant, by the way, to use the boxing analogy after what Solskjaer said, but, you can say any boxer, well, I'll give it a good shot and I'll always try and fight back. That's fine. You're still being punched in the head every 5 seconds, and someone's got to wave it off eventually because it's over. You know what I mean? Just giving it a good shot sometimes isn't enough. KG with a contribution saying, Ollie lies and calls out the media for lies. Teapot. Tremendous KG. And look at him, big spender, £2 super chat. That's what Ted Lasso money gives you, right? He's shooting right now and he's just flicked a £2 coin at us. Tremendous. Absolute tremendous. Thor's Hammer said it was like Homer Simpson when he was a boxer. I love the reference. Tremendous episode. Do you remember that? Homer Simpson, there was an episode of The Simpsons where Homer Simpson becomes a boxer. And basically, the way he wins all of the fights is that he just gets punched he just stands there and just gets punched in the head for like 20 minutes. And eventually the boxer gets tired and he sort of just throws the worst sort of punch. He goes, ugh. And the guy falls over and they give it, ah. And that's kind of what it's like. I'll keep fighting. I'll keep fighting. Okay. Eventually, they got to wave it off. You know what I mean? Eventually, they got to wave it off. Pot calling the kettle. KG said pot calling the kettle black. Yes, I understood the reference. KG. I understood the reference. I got it. It's not shocking. I understand it. So yeah, I found that bizarre. I really did. And like I said, the whole press conference was just bizarre. Next question was from Andy Mitten. Was asked again, I think a softball. What's the week been like? Compared to bad moments when you were injured as a player, does it affect you and does it affect your family? So he referenced what Mikel Arteta was saying. Yes, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was referencing Mikel Arteta. And this is when he got, I guess, the most feisty that he got throughout the whole press conferences when he referenced the Paul Pogba stuff. He said, I spoke about it last week. I think Arteta said something about what we have to deal with as managers in high-profile situations, and that's what we've got used to. I'm focused. I'm as focused as ever. I've had players come up to me. I don't read social media, but when Paul Pogba came up to me angry, we expect to be criticised. Hands up, the performance wasn't good enough. We can't accept when lies are made up. So that's the part about Pogba. He then said, Paul told me what he put up on his social media. We're better than that as a group. The culture, the environment is better. We can't stand for blatant lies. All the opinions and reports, fine, but don't make up lies about players or me. So that was basically, that was the most sort of, that's the most passion and desire we saw from Ollie. For someone that talks about passion and desire, that's the most passionate we kind of saw, Ollie. And even that was kind of like, wasn't that much. And again, I agree with him because it looks like that Pogba story was false. I have to credit Flex. You have to, because when that first Pogba reaction came out, I think a lot of people said that doesn't come from Man United. I know some people said it did, and everyone went, oh, that's just PR. They're just trying to spin things. That's Manchester United or whatever. No, it wasn't. That was Paul Pogba seeing a story going, that's not true. I'm going to stand up for myself there because they're questioning my professionalism. They're questioning, my character. I can't stand for that. Someone lies about me, like in general, like in life. If anyone, says a lie about you, stand up for yourself. Fight back. Say, oh, that's not right. Say that's not true. That's fine. And I agree with him, and I agree with Ollie. But again, Ollie's just said there, that wasn't Manchester United. That was Paul Pogba saying it. And when you go back to that tweet, what do they say? Strength and unity, whatever that may be. That's Manchester United trying to jump on the back of Paul Pogba there and being like, see, that Pogba story was false, so everything's false. Everything that's come out this week isn't true. Don't believe it all. Don't believe anything because that Pogba story written by The Sun was false, so everything else must be. I don't think so. Again, I don't think so. It doesn't really work like that, does it? And again, he admits that Pogba just came up to him and went, I've put this on social media. So that wasn't Man United. Man United, they were scrolling through their Twitter account. And they went, oh, Pogba said something. And then they went on Instagram and go, oh, he's put a story as well. Had nothing to do with Man United. I agree with him. And we've said this a couple of times here on the channel as well. There is a difference. There is a massive difference. People talk about toxic fans. People talk about all that kind of stuff. It's, in my opinion, it's not being a toxic fan if you say, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, I don't think he's the right man for the job. I think he's found his ceiling. I think it's time to hand off the baton to someone else and say it's time for someone else better than myself or more qualified, shall we say, than myself to take on this job and continue to improve Manchester United. That's not being toxic. That's sharing your opinion. Once it gets toxic is when you start making it personal. When you start attacking Ole Gunnar Solskjaer for being, oh, he's a clown or he's a so-and-so or he's a Norwegian so-and-so. There's no need for that. There's no need for that. There are perfectly easy ways to articulate a response and to say something that's, calculated, if you will, while still respecting someone's character. You can easily say, I don't think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is the right man for the job. That's not being toxic. And in the same vein as well, you don't have to be on the other end of the spectrum and be like, I'm just going to ignore everything that's happening right now. I'm just going to ignore that we lost 5-0 at home to our rivals. I'm just going to ignore we're not playing good football. I'm going to ignore that we're struggling despite spending 150 million in the summer. I'm going to ignore that all, and I'm just going to clap and and applaud the manager irrespective of what happens. That you can't. That's just ignoring. That's being blind. That's being willfully blind to what's right in front of you. Obviously, when you go to a match, you can clap to the end, support the team. I'm with you there. You don't want to turn Old Trafford into a toxic space. But you're more than allowed to say, I don't think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is the right manager. I don't see that as being toxic at all. He's right. When you've got people attacking you in the media, your character, making up lies about you, by all means, stand up for yourself. Fight back about that because you have to defend yourself. But when someone says, I don't think this person's qualified, That's not being toxic. I don't think it's being toxic at all. Super chat from Mike Hill says, we're in a no-win situation. If we win, great, but it's short term. If we lose, it's horrible, but Ollie will be gone. So I have seen quite a few people saying that kind of stuff. What does... And this kind of gets into the preview, which Flex did yesterday with Abby, by the way. So be sure to check that out. It's on the channel. It was outside the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. But look, ultimately, as a Manchester United fan, I want Manchester United to win. I do. I want Manchester United to win. I always want Manchester United to win. I would argue, if we win tomorrow, what does it really achieve? Not much. If you look at the game purely in isolation, even if we win tomorrow, we still have Atalanta away, and we still have Man City the following Saturday, 12:30. If we lose both those games, he's still probably gone. So it's almost a case of how the game tomorrow, does that... This is why I said before, when they say, he's got 3 games to turn it around. Can you turn anything around in 3 games? I don't think you can. I really don't think you can. And do I think that we'll show up tomorrow and win 3-0, just completely pepper and play some really attacking open football? I hope so. But I just don't see that happening. I really don't see that happening. Like I say before, I got more chance of waking up and singing I Will Always Love You on key like Whitney Houston. Guess what? Ain't happening. I ain't winning Grammys anytime soon. Unless he makes radical changes, which I don't see that happening. I just don't see that happening. But when it comes to defending yourself, when it comes to standing up for yourself in the media in terms of lies, absolutely. If someone lies about you, call it out. But just because that one story about Pogba wasn't true, and I don't think it was, I think Pogba's an easy target. People know that if you talk about Paul Pogba, people listen and read it because they've got this preconceived image of Paul Pogba in their mind. And he is an easy target. People just will say things like that. And if they're not true, stand up for yourself, absolutely. But it doesn't mean that everything that we heard this week isn't true. And like I said at the beginning of the video, 100%, Manchester United had told the journalists, and again, I don't know to speak completely, but I think so, because Conte was not mentioned, Zidane was not mentioned, a new manager was not mentioned, discussions between the Glazers and Woodward were not mentioned. There were definitely certain things that people could and couldn't say in that press conference. And that's why we got the press conference that we got. And that's why it felt like bland. That's why it felt like a Gordon Ramsay, bland soup on Kitchen Nightmares. It's just bland. More salt, please. Something. Next question came from Per Carlson, who, in fairness, does actually ask some quite probing questions, which are always interesting to see. He said, and this is, again, kind of the closest we got to some of these stories about, pressure on Ollie, new managers, all this kind of stuff. Per Carlson said, the press has been talking about the dressing room, Ollie clinging on to his job. He said, how much of that is actually true? And this is what Ollie said, quote, when you come in for criticism like you do, you come into the trenches with your teammates. Whatever this club has been through before, it's always been about getting through with courage, togetherness, self-belief, sticking together as the group has always done. Again, it's such the generic, it's just the generic bland answer. It's I almost have to give him credit. Ollie, I guess, wouldn't make a bad politician in the sense that he just did not answer that question at all. There's basically the question is, there have been reports coming out, you're clinging onto your job. There's also been reports of dressing room bust-ups or some home truths, if you will, all that kind of stuff. Is it actually true? And he's just gone, you have to get through it with courage, togetherness, self-belief, sticking together as the group has done. What is this? Where's this? A public service announcement or whatever? That's what it kind of felt like. Say your prayers, eat your vitamins, and always believe, have faith. That's what it kind of felt like. It was like, right, what about the dressing room stuff? What about the reports about you clinging on to your job? Anything about that? You have to believe in yourself. You have to believe in yourself. You've got to have courage. Okay. You got to talk about the dressing room stuff? No. Okay. That's what it was. It was a nothing answer. Absolute nothing answer. Super chat from Ryan G says, Pep, Laporte injured, Stones come in. Oh, you're actually doing bits, you can stay. Ollie, Lindelof, come. Decent A. H, can you walk? Okay, come back in. Well, he did say at the end of the press conference that he has a fully fit squad, apart from obviously Paul Pogba that's suspended. We'll touch on that in a second. But look, I fully expect Varane and Maguire to start. Like you said, I think Lindelof will go straight onto the bench. In fairness, I mentioned this before, we've tried, in this period of time, we've been conceding all these goals. Was it 19? In like however the last many games. During that period of time, I think pretty much every defender has played. So it implies that it's a far bigger issue, doesn't it? Like, we haven't played... have we played better when it's been Maguire and Varane? Have we played better when it's been Varane and Lindelof? Have we played better when it's Maguire and Lindelof? We've still been conceding goals left, right and centre. We played Telles. We played Dalot. We still concede goals, which should imply it's a bigger tactical issue. But it's not just one player dropping it in, fixing the problem. It implies it's not a personnel issue. It's a tactical issue. It's how you're setting up when you're out of possession. When the other team's attacking you, how are you setting up? You know, that's the problem. I don't think it's a personnel problem at all. Except Eric Bailly, yes, as Matish says, yeah. Apart from Eric Bailly, that's about it. But even when he was in, I suppose, Carabao Cup, they conceded. But when you come in for one game, it's quite difficult, isn't it? The next question was from Michael Gray, who said, have there been a few home truths from yourself and the players this week? He said, and this is when the Tyson Fury thing came in, which was just such a bizarre analogy. It really was. It said, it felt like we were a boxer being punch drunk, knocked down in the first 4 minutes or in the first round. We had a chance, we conceded a goal, we wanted to sort it out, and we were a bit too open, too frantic against a good team. You see Tyson Fury when he gets knocked down a couple of times. It's remarkable how calm and composed he is on the floor. Counts to 6, 7, 8, and he gets back up and goes again. We got up too early and tried to sort it. Sort it, rather. What on earth is he on about? What on earth is he on about? It's just a strange analogy. Oh, we got up too quickly. We were knocked down in the first minutes. We should have just laid there for a bit. What? What are you talking about? Like, this, and I don't know. Literally, I'm typing away because I'm making notes because I know I'm going to have to do this stream. So I'm making notes. I'm thinking, right, what am I going to say about that? What's my opinion on that? Da, da, da. When he said the Tyson Fury thing, literally, I stopped. I went, what? And I get it. I get it what he's trying to say in that we were punch drunk. We were rattled by the first goal. And we kind of just fell apart. We disintegrated. But the idea of we got knocked down and we should have just led there for a bit instead of getting up so quickly. What? What? Okay. So next time, if we concede a goal in the first, 5 minutes? Or something like that, we need to just kind of lay there and do nothing whilst the other team continues to celebrate, or the referee is checking on us going, 5, 6, do you want to get back up? Yes, give me a few seconds. Like, what? And Tyson Fury is a Man United fan, and I'm sure he probably got a pop out of, being mentioned in the press conference, but the analogy for me didn't work. And again, I understand what he's trying to say, in that we were punch drunk, because we conceded the goal and we fell apart. We did completely fall apart. But I'm not sure the analogy works of being knocked down and then just laying there for a bit. Okay. Some people might say, oh, it worked. Oliver Apex says you're talking rubbish. He meant being calm after being knocked down. I understand what he's trying to say. I just don't think Oliver, and you're obviously entitled to your opinion, if you think that analogy worked, but I just really didn't think it did. And my initial reaction to it was, what? And I think that if he said that to the players, what would they think? Would they be like, okay, right, I'm not really sure about that. Just, like, what, like one of those, like they just said it in the chat, Kyle's just said it, like one of those animals that feign death. If we concede a goal, we should just lay there a bit. I don't know. Maybe that was what he was trying to go for. Maybe he was trying to go with the analogy of, we have to remain calm once we get hit and, take a while, compose ourselves, all that kind of stuff. Not try and get back up straight away, then be hit once again. I don't know. Like I said, if that was the Liverpool game, they would have just waved it off. Let's go back to the boxer analogy. They would have just waved it off after one hit. They would have, I would have tried to get back up, and the referee would have gone, no. The referee shouting at the Manchester United players, put your hands together, walk towards me. We're walking around like that. Walk towards me. I'm composing myself. I'm composing myself. I'll be back in a minute. I'll compose. Give me a second. You've already conceded 3 more goals. I'm still composing myself. Don't worry. And they just go, wave it off. Wave it off. It's over. Wave it off. It's done. So I didn't think that analogy worked. And I'm all for an analogy. Don't get me wrong. I'm all for an analogy. I really am. But I don't think that one worked. And it feels like the general consensus on social media was that was the same. And if that's what people are, the fans are saying, if that's sort of the general reaction, like I said, if he said that to the players, what would the players think? What would the players think about that? So the final question was about team news. In fairness, I don't know who the journalist was. Sometimes you can hear the journalist's name, sometimes you can't. But the final one, the journalist kind of felt just tired by it. Like he was a bit frustrated that he couldn't ask certain questions. He just went, any team news? Or and then he went, Paul is suspended, but apart from that, it's a fully fit squad, which is a very strange position to be in. To have 25 outfield players and 5 keepers this week, all fit. Which, again, I thought was an odd choice of words. An odd choice of words to be like, very strange position to have everyone fit. It's a very strange position to have the medical department doing their job and everyone to be fully fit and not picking up knocks and injuries. Isn't that surprising? Very strange. Okay. And also, as well, it speaks volumes about the size of the squad, doesn't it? 25 outfield players, 5 keepers, 5 goalkeepers. I thought that's crazy. Five goalkeepers. When he said that, and 5 goalkeepers, I was like, man. I think about it from my point of view, a lazy point of view. Can you imagine being the 5th string goalkeeper at Manchester United? You're getting a good wage and you're never playing. Talk about dream scenario, right? Dream scenario. It's like being the 3rd string quarterback in an NFL team. You're never going to play. That's what I've always said. My dream, be Lee Grant. That is my dream. Show up, go to training every day, pay to train, and then you just never play. Tremendous. Absolutely tremendous. So we have a fully fit squad, which means Varane's back. Varane has returned. Martial is back. So he has plenty to pick from. So he has a selection dilemma. And the question then turns to, if you've got all of these players available, what are you going to play tomorrow? You're going to play 4-2-3-1. You're going to play 4-3-3. Are you going to go to 5 at the back? You're going to go to 3 at the back. What are you going to try and do? Are you going to change the starting lineup? I tell you now, if he picks the same 11 that he picked against Liverpool, I would be floored, but who knows? He can't. Surely he can't. I don't think he will because Varane will come back in. But even so, if the only change tomorrow is it's the same starting 11 that played Liverpool, but this time Raphael Varane comes into Victor Lindelof, that ain't enough either. It's not. It's not the same. It's not enough. For me, like I said before, if I was Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, which I'm not, but if I was Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, I would say to myself, right, I got away with one. I got away with one. I could have absolutely, easily lost my job last week. Of course I could have. I could have absolutely lost my job last week. And maybe I'm fortunate that I didn't. If there was a succession plan, if there was more time and there wasn't a game against Tottenham, Atalanta, and Man City, maybe I would have lost my job. So I've got to change something. Whether that's tactics, whether that's whatever. I've got to change something. I have to change something. I would change the formation, maybe not in the sense that I believed in it. I would just be like, right, I got to throw some shit at the wall and see what sticks. Because otherwise I'm going to be out of a job. And if I try and stick with 4-2-3-1, I'm going to be out of a job anyway. So I might as well try something different. Do I expect him to do that? No, I really don't. Let me know what your starting lineup would be in the free seats. We've got over 750 people watching, so smash a like on the like button. We've got over 700 people watching, nearly 800, and we've only got 191 likes. It's craziness. Let's try to see if we can get the likes up. Be sure to subscribe as well, bottom right-hand corner. So, like I said, overall, bizarre. Just really bizarre. Bizarre press conference, lukewarm, nothing really of substance. And it hasn't, I was hoping, and again, I spoke to quite a few people coming into the press conference today, because people would ask me, what do you think he's going to say? Well, how do you think he's going to react? And I would say, like I say all the time about Manchester United, I would say, I have no idea. I have no idea how he's going to react. I have no idea how Manchester United are going to play. The prediction tomorrow, I have no idea, because you have no idea what Manchester United are going to show up. My confidence dips, or has been dipping most week, but I was hoping, and it's the hope that kills you, obviously, I was hoping that coming out of this press conference, I'd be like, right, I'm not necessarily sure if I feel that we can win tomorrow. We should, considering the players that we have, but given our form recently. But I was hoping, at least he would be bullish, and he would come out swinging, come out fighting, or he would say something like, We realise the formation isn't going to be working, so we are going to change to a 4-3-3, or we are going to change to a back five. Not that he would probably say that in a press conference, but something like that, just to get the spirits up. Just to get something like, okay, maybe we are on the right track here. Maybe we are heading in the right direction. Maybe we are going to see something different. Just feel a bit excited about tomorrow's game. But I am kind of going into it with dread. I am coming into tomorrow's game with dread. And we just didn't see that. It was, like I said earlier on, it was a press conference that completely matched the performance last weekend. It was the Liverpool, 5-0 loss at home equivalent of a press conference. It was nothing. There was nothing of substance, questions or answers. It was like Monday and Tuesday never happened. I mean, you would be forgiven looking at that press conference and the answers and the questions that Antonio Conte's name had never, ever, ever been linked with Manchester United or Zidane or Ten Hag or even Brendan Rodgers or Graham Potter. Those names have been linked as well. You would be forgiven that none of that ever happened because it was not referenced. They must have been told, like, you can't say these people's names and all this kind of stuff. And you can't say about Woodward and the Glazers. You can't say anything because it was just nothing was spoken about at all. And it just felt like, if you'd have had the press conference after we lost against Villa, it felt exactly like that. And that's really disappointing. Really, really disappointing. I think a lot of people have probably made up their mind on Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and they might have a long time ago, but certainly last weekend really solidified that for them. Even those people that had made up their mind, I think would have looked at the press conference today being like, well, I hope he just comes out swinging. I hope he comes out swinging, and I hope he says something. And he didn't. The most riled up, the most fight he said was when he was talking about Paul Pogba. And if anything, that's jumping on the back of Paul Pogba, who was defending himself. Again, that's why we said it in the week. That wasn't Manchester United coming out. That was Paul Pogba coming out and defending himself. Ultimately, Manchester United, throughout this entire past week or so, 7 days or so, have just been the proverbial head in the sand club. They just put your head in the sand, none of it's happening, none of it's going on. Eventually the storm will pass and we'll carry on. And that's basically what the reaction has been. The issue is that Monday and Tuesday, when Manchester United did nothing, not even in the terms of, sacking Ole or appointing Conte or whatever it may be, they did nothing in terms of, they didn't come out and say anything. They didn't come out and brief the journalists saying they were going to back Solskjaer. They did nothing. Head in the sand. The problem is when they put their head in the sand, it just went chaotic. They could have really stopped. And this is why I say that a lot of these stories that have come out, whether they've been true or false, that lies on Manchester United. That lies on the board. Because if they'd come out Monday and briefed the journalists and said, we're still going to back Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, he's still got games to turn it around, people would have complained, but we would have known where we stand. Everyone would have known where everyone stands. Solskjaer would have known where he stands. The players would have known where the manager stands. The fans would have known where the situation at the moment. They did nothing. And when they did nothing, it created this vacuum that just meant everything just turned into a feeding frenzy. It's like Manchester United threw some chum in the water and then was surprised that the piranhas started to eat it. And they went, the piranhas are out, the journalists, the piranhas are out, what's going on? And then they attacked the journalist being like, I can't believe you're writing all of this stuff. Well, you didn't give any reason to do otherwise. So again, I blame that on Manchester United. I really do. It's just, I sound like Nigel Pearson. You're an ostrich. You're an ostrich, mate. But that's kind of what it was like. And this press conference just more of the same. You'd have never known that the defeat happened last weekend, the manner of it. You'd have never known that, by all accounts, Solskjaer was hanging on by a thread on Monday and Tuesday. And then the decision was, we don't really have a succession plan. We don't have time to find the right manager or certainly get that deal together and put it in place. We'll give him till the international break, all that kind of stuff. You would have never known that happened. And again, I think almost the intention by that was, if we don't reference it and we just don't pretend that it happened, we can then try and deflect it as it's all lies. None of it happened. It's all lies. And it was just bizarre. And I know I've said that over and over again, and I know probably, in the free seats or in the comments afterwards, if you're watching this, you'll say, how many times, or take a shot for every time Owen said bizarre in this one, you'd be hammered. And it's true. But that's the one word to sum it up. It was such a strange press conference with weak questions and weak answers that ultimately matched a weak performance last weekend. And I just hope the performance tomorrow is better than this press conference, is better than those questions and better than those answers. Do I have faith that it will be? I have no idea. Honestly, no idea at this point. I really don't. And I think it's funny. I don't want to touch on too much like the match preview, but I know obviously Flex did his yesterday. But like my feeling on the situation is a lot of people are talking about Spurs at the moment. A lot of people are talking about Spurs and people are talking about Nuno. And Spurs aren't playing very well this season. Spurs aren't doing very well this season. They're struggling under Nuno. I think they've scored like 9 goals in the Premier League, which is crazy considering you've got Kane and Son and Moura all in there. And everyone's focusing... Not everyone, but people are saying how bad Spurs are playing, and Manchester United should beat Spurs because Spurs aren't playing very well. Spurs are a point ahead of us. So if we're quick to say that Spurs aren't doing very well, or Spurs are playing badly, or Tottenham are doing terrible, all this kind of stuff, what does that say about us when we're a point behind them? Like at the same time, if you're very quick to criticise how bad Spurs are, and they're not playing well this season, but we're a point ahead of a point behind them, the table doesn't lie. The Premier League table doesn't lie. If they've got more points than us, they're doing better than us. So if Spurs are doing this, they're so terrible, they're so bad, they're still doing better than us. What does that say as well? So just all of it, I think it's, on paper, of course we can, and maybe we should be beating Spurs. We've got great players, but we've been saying this all season, haven't we? We really have. We've been saying this all season. We've got great players. We've got Cristiano Ronaldo. He's one of the best players, if not the best player of all time. We've got Bruno Fernandes. We've got David De Gea, who's back in form. Despite him being back in form, we're still conceding 19 goals, and arguably he's been our best player this season. How bad is that? David De Gea's turned back into the form he had under Jose Mourinho in terms of saving it and all that kind of stuff, but still, it's not enough because we're conceding like 500 chances per game. So, I don't know. Again, morbidly curious about tomorrow. But we'll have to wait and see. What is before we wrap it up here, because I feel like I've just been on just a 45-minute moaning fest. So I apologize. I have tried to see the positives in some of the things that he's been saying, but to be honest, I just didn't really see it. I just did not see it in that press conference. I really didn't. I just saw generic responses. It was like, again, Football Manager. Pump fist. We go again. I have a lot of faith in you. You can be the difference. I expect to see a difference in the second half. That's what it felt like. It really did. Like I'd have almost preferred it if Ollie just went in and been like, I'm not talking to you lot. You were writing rubbish about me and left. With Louis van Gaal, thanks for the wine. Here's a mince pie. See you later. I would have preferred Ollie to do the same thing, just to show a little bit of oomph, a little bit of something. But he didn't. He didn't show anything. And I think it was a very controlled press conference in terms of like the questions that were asked, no doubt about that. And I guess, maybe we see the real reaction from Ollie after the game tomorrow, irrespective of the result. If it goes bad, then we'll see, I definitely will see some more probing questions because you have to. You'll see some more probing questions and you'll get a real response. Even if we win, like after we beat Everton last year, when we had that game, I think it was we had a game in midweek. It might have been on a Wednesday, then we had to play Saturday lunchtime at Goodison Park and we won. And Ollie came out and sort of hammered, the media and the Premier League and whoever organises the fixtures and all this kind of stuff, saying, we played on Wednesday, we shouldn't be playing Saturday morning, and he had to go. Maybe he's saving that for afterwards. Maybe he's saving it for if we win tomorrow, he can then come out and be like, you wrote some stuff about me, but we bounced back, all this kind of stuff. I don't know. I think we might get some better answers tomorrow after the game, but that is what it is. Super chat from Gnome de Geur says, should pull back advanced midfielders to a holding role. Fernandes, Pogba, Van der Beek, Lingard, play 4-2-4. Ronnie, Cavani, Rash, and Sancho. Our midfield needs to pass. And that's the thing as well, isn't it? Is that like the passing? It's like the basics of football. The passing in that game against Liverpool was horrific. It was horrendous, absolutely horrendous. And I mentioned this when I did when I was on Sky the other day, that we tried playing out from the back, which we're so ill-equipped to do. We can't do that. We try passing out from the back, we give it away. It's a goal like against Leicester, right? They win the ball back, goal. So we stop trying to do that. We then try to hit it long. Problem is when we hit it long, our press is non-existent. So when it goes long to the opposition team, there's no press and they can just pass right through us. We can't do anything. And again, that comes back to game plan. It really is. It comes back to the game plan. So again, before we wrap it up, like I said, let me know your score predictions. We'll get a couple of your score predictions on the screen. Also, maybe along with your score prediction, let me know what formation you expect to play. Do you expect to see any change in the formation tomorrow? My opinion, no, not a chance. I don't expect to see it. I don't expect to see a different formation. I still expect to see 4-2-3-1. I expect to see McFred. I expect to see Varane back in. Maybe he might make a change of, maybe like a Sancho will come in or something like that. I don't know. But I don't expect to see much of a change to anything. And again, I think that's the definition of insanity, guys. I really do. Is doing the same things and expecting different outcomes. That's the definition of insanity. It really is. Let's take a look at the live chat. Alien Tenno says 3-0 Spurs 4-2-3-1. Cool says 1-1. Sarindi says 3-1 loss to United. Devon says 1-1 formation 4-2-3-1. Kristen says 4-2-3-1 lose 4-1. DR says no change 5-0 Spurs. Aaron says same manager, same results. A lot of people saying 10-1 formation. Cool says same formation. Yeah, a lot of people are saying the same thing, that it's just going to be same formation. And I agree. I do see it as the same formation, maybe not the exact same lineup. I don't even expect it to be that much different, to be honest with you. I really don't. We've got nearly 750 people watching, so be sure to smash like. We've only got 260 likes. We can get that up. We can get that up to like at least, I don't know, 300. See if we can get up to 300 before we wrap it up. I'll go for like 5 more minutes, see if we can wrap it up. I want to get some of your opinions in once again. So, not to get too far ahead of tomorrow's game, because tomorrow's game is the most important. But here's a question: do you, irrespective of the outcome tomorrow, say Manchester United win, say we win 2-0 or 2-1, whatever that may be, does that change your opinion? Does it change anything? Or do we have to, obviously we're focusing on this game in isolation because it's the next game, but is it important to be like, well, even if we win tomorrow, if we lose against Atalanta and Man City, we're still miles behind? Does it change anything? Does the outcome tomorrow change anything in your opinion at all? Does it? I mean, I'm curious to know, because I'm sure if we did win tomorrow, there might be some people that we might be like, well, you never know all this kind of stuff. Or is it, irrespective of what happens tomorrow, is it over? Because we've got to play Atalanta, and like I think a lot of people, I'm already thinking about the City game next Saturday, which is the lunchtime kickoff. I'm already thinking about that, and I'm already thinking like, here we go. Because I'm really concerned about that. When Arsenal played City at the Etihad earlier this season, it was just embarrassing. I'm not saying it's going to be the same as that, but, I really don't know. Zipzo says no. Sunny7 Singh says 3-2 loss. Emil says no way. Raz says he can win all 3 games. He still needs to go. Otherwise, we'll be in the same situation in a few months. I think quite a few people have been saying that kind of stuff. Robert Gurgis says, if we go on a long run, I'd back the manager. I'll never hound him out as long as he is here, which is interesting. And I think some people will say that. I mean, look, if he won all 3 games, it becomes more difficult, certainly for Manchester United, to sack Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, doesn't it? And they'll feel like they're justified in that. I do agree with one of the comments there a second ago. I think it was Zippo said that my concern would be that I feel like just we'd be in the same position in a couple months' time. Like Ollie said it in the press conference today, which I just found bizarre as well, when he goes, whilst I've been a manager at the club, we've had, I think it's 2 or 3 crises. It's like, that's not good. That isn't good. That's not good at all, Josh Weirin says, nothing will change unless we batter everyone. We play 4-0 until January 1st, 2022. Even then, we would really want a change for a top-class manager. So it becomes certainly it's becoming a bit of a, I think a lot of people's minds are made up, put it that way. Huey says, Spurs smashed just 6-1 last year for F's sake. Deja vu coming in, I fear. I mean, if that happened, he'd have to go. I mean, even before the Atlanta game, that would be completely untenable. I thought it was untenable with the Liverpool game. I still do think it is. Obviously, the Martial sending off changed that, but who knows? Who knows, guys? But look, obviously tomorrow, it's a match day, so we're going to have a road trip in the morning with, obviously, Flex is going to be at the game, as he always is. So he's going to have a road trip going up nice and early tomorrow morning. KG's back on the match view tomorrow, thank God, because obviously that last one I was in was just a disaster. Not in terms of, I think it ran pretty well. But, I've just stepped into the match views when KG is at the games. And, what a game to step in for. I was hoping that it would be like this monumental, great match for you, but it was painful. It was so painful. So KG's back on the match for you tomorrow, which will be interesting to see. Obviously, after the game, we'll have the match reaction with myself and DJ. So we'll appreciate everyone if you can join us then. And then obviously, after the game as well, we'll have all the fan views from outside the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in North London. Flex will be with all of the fans. We'll certainly have some really interesting opinions on that. And then Sunday, of course, whenever there's a match day on a Saturday, Sunday, it'll be the full view, easy for me to say, full view. And we'll have the whole crew there digesting what happened or what result happened there. And then after that, it's a busy week. It's a busy week because it's a Champions League week. We're back straight away Tuesday, Atalanta. Interesting to see what happens there. It's an away game as well. That's curious. And then we've got the Manchester Derby the following Saturday as well, which I think KG's going to be at the game. So I think I'm on the match view and the match reaction that game as well. But that's way in the future. I'm trying not to think too far ahead. I can't. I have to think about just tomorrow first. Let's just get through the game tomorrow and see where we go from there. But as always, guys, really appreciate you for joining me for this press conference reaction. Be sure to smash a like on the video. We're only 6 likes away from 300. So nearly got to that 300 mark as we wrap things up here. But as I mentioned, be sure to smash a like on the video. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. Plenty of content coming soon. And I'll speak with you again very, very soon.